Cheney. Chapter 1. The Tipping Point. Cindy stared at the blinking red numbers on the microwave. 5:22 p.m. The chicken was still half frozen. The twins were arguing over a missing cleat, and her youngest had spilled chocolate milk on the only clean jersey left. She exhaled, steady and quiet, like she was trying not to tip something fragile inside her.
If this story is already tugging at something in you, hit that subscribe button. We share real, raw, and inspiring stories every week, the kind that stay with you long after the video ends. So if you're into heartfelt journeys and gentle breakthroughs, you're in the right place.
That something was her hope. Dinner, bedtime, lunches, then a 5 a.m. shift at Safeway. The days ran together like a blur she couldn't pause, and yet, somehow, they never felt fast enough to get ahead. No matter how many hours she worked, how many coupons she clipped, how many ways she stretched a pot of chili, the bills stayed just out of reach. Especially now, with her oldest begging to play on a travel soccer team, something they absolutely could not afford. She wanted to say yes. She wanted to be the kind of mom who could say yes. But Cindy wasn't just broke. She was tired. Tired of worrying. Tired of pretending it was fine. Tired of pretending the life they had was enough when she knew deep down it wasn't. Not anymore. That night, after the kids had collapsed into their beds and the dishwasher hummed softly in the background, Cindy sat at the kitchen table scrolling on her phone. An episode of a podcast autoplayed as she tidied up tabs. She wasn't really listening until one sentence cut through the clutter. If you want to change your financial future, you have to stop trading time for money. You have to learn to leverage. Cindy froze. She hit the rewind button. Listened again. You have to learn to leverage. Leverage. She'd heard that word before. In math, maybe? Or fitness? But this was different. It was like someone had handed her a clue to a puzzle she didn't know she was working on. Her heart beat a little faster. She grabbed a sticky note from the junk drawer and scribbled the word. The next morning at MOPS, Mothers of Preschoolers, the word still buzzed in her head like a half-formed prayer. She didn't usually speak up in the group. Most of the moms seemed to have it more together. But today, Cindy couldn't keep it in. When the laughter died down and the group turned to prayer requests and check-ins, Cindy found herself blurting, "Does anyone here own a business?" A few women nodded politely, but it was Andrea, her mentor mom, 60-something with a cropped silver bob and laugh lines etched deep from use, who leaned in with a smile. "I do, sweetie. I run a dog grooming shop." "Why do you ask?" Cindy's cheeks flushed. "I was just wondering, aren't you scared, being your own boss?" Andrea chuckled, warm and unbothered. "Of course I was, but now, I wouldn't trade it. I've got 3 employees running the shop right now while I sit here with you lovely people. That's leveraged income, by the way." There it was again. The word. Andrea must have noticed her confusion. "You've heard that word before?" "Just yesterday." A podcast, Cindy lowered her voice. "I don't really know what it means." Andrea leaned back. "It means you build something once, or train someone once, and it keeps working for you. Like I trained my groomers. Now the shop runs without me there all day. I make money while I'm here sipping lukewarm coffee with you." The women around them chuckled. Cindy leaned in, desperate. "I need something like that, but I don't know what. I don't feel like I have any skills." Andrea softened. "You don't need it all figured out right away. You just need a place to start." Cindy glanced around the room. A sea of diaper bags, sippy cups, tired eyes, and brave smiles. "My husband works hard," she said quietly. "He and his dad own that feed store over on 12th. "Oh, Henderson's Feed and Farm?" Andrea nodded. My husband loves that place. Gets all our chicken feed there. Yep, Cindy said. Mine loves it too. And it pays all right. Steady work, honest work, but… She trailed off. But it's not travel soccer money or help your kid through college money. Andrea finished for her gently. Cindy blinked, surprised and relieved to be understood so quickly. Andrea set her coffee down. Want to take a walk tomorrow? Around the eastern track? We'll brainstorm. Get the blood pumping. I've helped a lot of moms figure out their thing. Maybe I can help you figure out yours. Cindy nodded before she could talk herself out of it. That night, she told her husband the plan. He nodded, half listening as he sorted through junk mail. Good for you, he said absently. Maybe she'll have some ideas. Cindy didn't expect much, but she did feel something new as she pulled the covers up around her that night. It wasn't certainty. It wasn't clarity. But it wasn't dread either. It was the faintest flicker of curiosity. Chapter 2: A Walk and a Wake-Up Call. The morning air held that rare Pacific Northwest balance, cool enough to wake you up, warm enough to not need a jacket. Cindy pulled into the gravel lot near the eastern track, tying her hoodie around her waist. Andrea was already there, stretching beside the bench, her silver hair pulled back in a low ponytail. You made it! Andrea called out, waving. Barely, Cindy replied with a laugh, jogging up beside her. My youngest decided today was the day he no longer likes toast. Only pancakes will do now. Andrea chuckled. Ah, the tyranny of toddlers. Let's walk. They set off along the path, the gravel crunching beneath their sneakers. It took a full lap before the small talk wore off, and the quiet turned thoughtful. So, Andrea began, I've been thinking about your question from yesterday. Cindy tucked her hands into her sleeves. Yeah? You said you don't have any skills, but I don't buy it. Cindy frowned. I mean, I never finished college. I work at Safeway. I've been a mom since I was 19. I'm good at packing lunches and stretching ground beef. That's about it. Andrea gave her a sidelong glance. And your Pinterest board? What? What's it full of? Cindy laughed, a little embarrassed. Organization stuff, like pantries with labeled baskets and those clear bins for snacks. I follow like 20 accounts that do that. Oh, and time-saving hacks and capsule wardrobes. I don't even have one, but I love the idea of everything matching. Andrea raised an eyebrow. Interesting. Cindy shrugged. It's just what I scroll when I'm zoning out. And when you're not scrolling? Cindy thought for a moment. I like rearranging stuff. I just helped my sister unpack after her move, and I ended up redoing her whole linen closet. She kept calling me a magician. Andrea nodded slowly. You know, there are people who pay good money for that kind of help. Cindy blinked. Wait, like home organizers? Exactly, and you clearly have a knack for it. You light up when you talk about it. I guess, Cindy said, but her heart was speeding up. I mean, I don't know how to run a business, or market myself, or take payment. Andrea waved her hand. That's the easy part. The hard part is finding something you enjoy enough to push through the messy middle. You've got that. Now you just need to try. Cindy looked away. What if I fail? Andrea smiled. What if you don't? Or what if you do, and it teaches you something better? They walked in silence for another few minutes, the question lingering between them like mist. By the time they circled back to the parking lot, Cindy had made up her mind. Okay, she said. I'm going to post in a local mom group. Just offer to organize a pantry or a closet. Maybe someone will take me up on it. Andrea grinned. That's the spirit. You're just trying something. That's how it starts. That night, After the kids were asleep and the dishwasher had once again begun its soft hum, Cindy drafted her post. Hi, local friends. I'm looking to start a small organizing business and need a few first clients to help me get going. If you've got a messy pantry, closet, or playroom you need help with, I'd love to trade a few hours of organizing in exchange for feedback and before-after photos. Message me. She stared at the post for a few seconds before hitting post. 2 minutes later, the first reply came in. By morning, she had 3 people asking for help. She stared at the screen, stunned. Chapter 3: Cluttered Calendars and Clarity. The first job was a pantry. Cindy arrived at the little craftsman-style house on a sunny Wednesday morning, nerves twisting her stomach. The homeowner, Laura, was a fellow mom of 3 who greeted her at the door in yoga pants and a grateful smile. "God bless you for doing this," Laura said, waving her into a kitchen that looked like it had just hosted a bake sale during a hurricane. "Don't judge the cereal avalanche." Cindy laughed, loosening. "No judgment here. I've got the same chaos, just in a different zip code." It took 3 hours, 2 trash bags, and a full reorganization with labels and bins from the dollar store. But by the time Cindy stepped back, Laura gasped. This is beautiful." Cindy felt her cheeks flush. "I'm glad you like it." "Like it?" Laura grabbed her phone to take pictures. "I want to live in this pantry now." Cindy chuckled, but something stirred inside her, a warmth she hadn't felt in a while. Pride, maybe, or relief. She'd done something helpful, something people needed, and she hadn't hated doing it. In fact, she'd kind of loved it. The second job was a closet, a teenage girl's room, clothes piled to the ceiling. It was a longer day, more talking, more listening. By the end, the girl hugged her and said, "You're like my organization fairy godmother." The third job was a playroom. Cindy nearly tripped on a Lego fort twice her size, but she powered through. Labeled bins, color-coded shelves, clear floor space. The mom cried when she saw it. "You have no idea how much this helps my anxiety," the woman said through tears. "You've literally given me breathing room." That night, Cindy sat at the kitchen table with a notepad and a bottle of water, scribbling numbers. 3 jobs in 3 days. All done for testimonials and photos, but if she'd been paid, she could have made more than her whole week at Safeway. She stared at the napkin she'd used to write it out. 3 hours times $25 per hour times 3 jobs equals $225. $225. The number glowed with possibility, but so did the clock blinking 11:48 p.m. She hadn't tucked the kids in. Dinner had been frozen burritos. Her husband was asleep on the couch again. She rubbed her eyes. It wasn't that she didn't love the work. She did, but it came with a cost. Time, energy, even gas money she didn't really have to spare. She picked up her phone and texted Andrea. "You were right. I can do this, but I miss my kids already. It's too much time away. I'm not sure it's the right fit." The reply came just a few minutes later. "That's a win, not a loss. You tried something, and now you know more than you did last week." Cindy stared at the message, reading it twice. That night, as she loaded her car back up with empty bins and plastic drawer sets, she whispered, "It's okay. We're just learning." Andrea called her the next day. They walked again. "I'm proud of you," Andrea said as they rounded the curve by the trees. Cindy gave a tired smile. "But it didn't work." Andrea shook her head. "It did work. You got 3 clients in a snap. You made them happy. And you confirmed something important. It's not what you want to give your life to. That's valuable. Sometimes knowing what doesn't fit gets you to what does." Cindy let that settle in her bones. "I just don't want to keep starting over." Andrea looked at her with that kind mentor mom certainty. You're not starting over. You're starting from experience. Cindy felt something release inside her, a tight knot she hadn't even noticed. Maybe this wasn't failure. Maybe it was data. She wasn't lost. She was learning. And somewhere in all this learning, something right was waiting. She was starting to become sure of that. Chapter 4: Pins and Possibility. Cindy sat cross-legged on her living room rug, surrounded by plastic bins she hadn't put away from her last organizing gig. A half-drunk coffee cooled on the side table. The kids were at school, her husband at the feed store, and for once, the house was quiet. She should have been cleaning, or folding laundry, or prepping dinner. Instead, she was deep into a Pinterest rabbit hole. One board led to another. DIY home systems, family budgeting printables, vision boards. It wasn't new. She'd always loved this part, gathering ideas, seeing what other women were doing to make their lives easier or more beautiful. But today, she scrolled differently. She wasn't looking for ideas for her own home. She was watching patterns. A few minutes later, she opened a new tab and typed, "How to make money with Pinterest." Articles popped up, bloggers with traffic tips, affiliate marketers, course creators, service providers. One phrase stood out, Pinterest virtual assistant. It sounded fancy. It sounded fake. But something about it tugged at her. Cindy spent the next hour reading everything she could find. Pinterest marketing wasn't about followers. It was about search engines, keywords, and link clicks. It was about making pins that drove traffic to blogs, products, services. She paused. This is like a game, she thought, a strategy puzzle. Cindy always had a knack for puzzles. The next day, she messaged Andrea again. Okay, hear me out. What if instead of organizing actual homes, I helped people organize their Pinterest accounts? Andrea called immediately. Tell me everything, she said. So Cindy explained how she spent hours on Pinterest already, how she loved figuring out why one pin went viral and another didn't, how she could do this from home, on her laptop, without missing bedtime or dinner or Saturday soccer games. Andrea listened, then said, Sounds like it's time to learn the ropes. Cindy found a short course for beginners. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't outrageous either. She and her husband talked about it over dinner. I don't want to waste money, she said, but I also feel like this is the first time I've been excited about something in a long time. He took a sip of his sweet tea and nodded slowly. We can make it work. If you're going to go for it, go all in. She bought the course that night. The next week was a blur of tutorials, PDFs, and Canva logins. She practiced pin designs, wrote mock descriptions, built a tiny portfolio. Her mind stretched in ways it hadn't in years, and it felt good. Then she got brave again. In a Facebook group for women in business, she posted, Hi friends, I'm a new Pinterest marketer looking to work with 2 small business owners for free in exchange for feedback and testimonials. If you've got a blog, Etsy shop, or online offer, I'd love to help you get more traffic. Within an hour, her inbox had 4 messages. By the next morning, 7. Cindy sat back from her screen, stunned. This was happening. She chose 2 women to work with, a health coach in Idaho and a handmade soap shop in Tennessee. She asked about their goals, studied their websites, and got to work. She tracked results obsessively. 2 weeks in, one of the clients sent a message. Just wanted to say thank you. I had a 300% increase in traffic this week, and I made 3 new sales. You're incredible. Cindy read the message twice, then whispered, I helped her make money while sitting at my kitchen table. She looked down at her hands. These same hands that used to bag groceries and fold onesies now built something valuable, something that worked. She was starting to understand. This was leverage. Chapter 5. First Clients, First Win. It was a Tuesday morning when Cindy opened her laptop, hands trembling with a cocktail of nerves and anticipation. She had drafted and redrafted her offer 3 times already. Today, she was going pro. No more free work. No more playing small. She clicked open Instagram, pulled up her freshly designed post, soft blush background, clean fonts, a picture of her smiling beside a coffee mug, and hit share. Are you a small business owner looking to drive real traffic to your website using Pinterest? I'm now accepting 4 new clients for done-for-you Pinterest strategy and pin creation. Let me help you grow your brand while you focus on what you love. DM me to apply. She closed the app, heart pounding. Then she opened Canva and got to work on client reports, trying to keep her mind from spinning out. She didn't have to wait long. By noon, 2 people had messaged her. By dinner time, all 4 spots were taken. By bedtime, she'd had to create a wait list. She sat on the couch, blanket around her legs, blinking at the screen like it had grown wings. Her husband walked in, wiping grease off his hands from the garage. You okay? Cindy nodded slowly. I just made more today than I used to make in a whole week. He leaned over the back of the couch and kissed the top of her head. Told you, go all in. And she did. Over the next few weeks, Cindy created pin graphics, wrote optimized descriptions, tracked analytics, and coached her clients on content strategy. She fell into a rhythm, early mornings before the kids woke up, bursts of work during nap time, and occasional late nights with tea and headphones. It was work, yes, but it felt different. It felt hers. One of her clients, a woman who sold homemade planners, sent a thank you card with a Starbucks gift card tucked inside. Another asked if Cindy would train her virtual assistant at double her usual hourly rate. Andrea called to check in. I'm proud of you, she said, voice rich with warmth. I'm proud of me, Cindy admitted, voice thick. I didn't think I'd ever say that. Now you're not just leveraging your time, Andrea said. You're helping other women do the same. Cindy sat with that for a moment. She hadn't realized it yet, but her world was expanding. Not just with income, but with impact. She was becoming the woman she'd been scrolling to find just weeks ago. That Friday, after sending off 3 pin boards and wrapping up analytics reports, Cindy shut her laptop and stood up. Her back ached a little. Her coffee had gone cold again, but her heart, it was on fire.
Still with us? This is the kind of story we share every week. Hit subscribe to follow along.
Chapter 6. Building Belief and Boundaries. Cindy had always thought success would feel like freedom, and in some ways, it did. She could now buy groceries without triple-checking the cart. She paid the registration fee for her son's soccer tournament without blinking. She even slipped $100 into her emergency savings, a line item that had collected dust for years. But with success came something she hadn't expected: exhaustion. It wasn't physical, exactly. She wasn't stocking shelves or chasing toddlers all day anymore. It was decision fatigue. Client emails, brand colors, tailwind schedules, A/B pin testing. It all demanded brain space, and brain space was finite. One Tuesday afternoon, her daughter came into the room holding a drawing of a house. Mommy, want to color with me? Cindy looked up from her laptop, caught in the middle of analytics for a client's campaign. Just 5 more minutes, she said. An hour passed before she looked up. The crayons were put away. Her daughter had gone outside to play with the neighbor. The guilt hit hard. That night, she texted Andrea. I think I built a job instead of a business. Andrea called right away. Tell me everything. Cindy sank onto the couch. I'm so tired. I'm grateful, really. but I keep feeling like I'm back in the same hustle, just with a prettier desk and a better paycheck. Andrea was quiet for a moment. That means it's time to build some boundaries. I don't even know what that looks like. Well, Andrea said, do you know how many clients you can realistically serve in a week without feeling like your hair's on fire? Cindy thought for a minute. 4, maybe 5, if I stagger deadlines. Great, that's your cap. But what about growth? Growth without peace isn't growth, Andrea said. It's just burnout with a new outfit. That line hit hard. Andrea continued, what if you raised your rates? Just a little. Let people self-select. If someone says no, you free up space for someone who says yes and values your time. Cindy pulled out her notebook, jotting down ideas. Package pricing, office hours, templates to cut back on repetitive work. She even thought about hiring help, maybe someone to assist with pin design. She'd never seen herself as a boss, but maybe it was time to start acting like one. Over the next week, she sent messages to her clients, a small rate increase, new turnaround times, and clear office hours. Only one client pushed back, and even she eventually stayed on. To her surprise, 2 of the others thanked her. Good boundaries make for better business, one said. Cindy realized that building a business wasn't just about the service. It was about how you designed your life around it, and for the first time, she saw that she wasn't just chasing income anymore. She was designing a lifestyle. That Friday, she logged off early. She picked up her daughter, poured a glass of lemonade, and sat at the table with a box of crayons. The drawing wasn't perfect, but it was full of color. Chapter 7. Reflect and Refine. Cindy zipped her hoodie halfway and pulled her hair into a low ponytail as she approached the eastern track again. The air was crisp, and the trees had begun to show their first hints of gold. The last time she'd walked this loop, she'd barely believed she could start anything. Now, she was someone else. Andrea was already there, walking in place near the benches, 2 coffees in hand. Look at you, Andrea said, handing her a cup. You've got that I've been in the trenches glow. Cindy laughed, taking a sip. That's one way to describe it. They started down the path together. Cindy let the silence stretch for a few paces before speaking. I needed this. I figured. It's working, Andrea. Like really working. I've got 4 steady clients. My wait list is growing. One of them just doubled her monthly sales, and she says it's because of the Pinterest strategy we set up. Andrea smiled, proud. Of course it's working. You're good at it. Cindy looked ahead, brow furrowed. But I've been thinking a lot lately. It's not just about the pins or even the income anymore. Oh? It's what this is doing to me. I feel different. Stronger. Like my opinion matters. Like I can figure things out instead of waiting for someone to hand me permission. Andrea nodded slowly. That's the good stuff. That's the real win. They rounded a bend where the trees grew thicker and the gravel softened. A squirrel darted across the path, and both women smiled. I'm starting to see patterns in all of it, Cindy continued. Trying the organizing thing? That wasn't a failure. It taught me that I want to be home more. It taught me what I don't want. Andrea beamed. Exactly. Every try gives you better tools for the next round. Which makes me wonder... Andrea tilted her head. There it is. I think I want to create something, like a product, but digital, a course maybe, for women like me, who don't know where to start, but need something to shift. Something that doesn't require them to work 40 extra hours a week. Andrea stopped walking and turned to face her. Say that again. I want to help other women learn to leverage their time. Teach them what I've learned, so they don't have to figure it all out the hard way. Andrea grinned. That's leverage on top of leverage. Cindy smiled, sheepish. Is that too much? No, it's brilliant. You've walked the walk. Now you get to show the map. The idea had been tugging at her for days, but speaking it out loud made it feel real, dangerous, and thrilling, like standing on the edge of something important. Andrea bumped her shoulder playfully. You've got your next pivot. Cindy laughed. Another one? This whole thing is a game, Andrea said. We try, we learn, we grow. Every round makes us better players. They walked in silence for a moment, the breeze brushing past like encouragement. Cindy could feel something rising inside her, a new layer of confidence, the clarity that only comes after taking messy, imperfect action. I already know the course title, she said softly, but I'm keeping it to myself until I build it. Andrea smiled. Now that's a boss move. Chapter 8, A Different Idea. Cindy sat at the kitchen table, a legal pad in front of her and her favorite pen in hand. The house was quiet, miraculously so. Her husband had taken the kids to his parents for the afternoon, and for the first time in weeks, she had an entire block of time to think. The words flowed fast, almost faster than she could write. Who is this for? Women like me, overwhelmed, smart, underestimated. What will it help them do? Understand leveraged income, try ideas, build something on their own terms. How will it help? Simple frameworks, real stories, step-by-step paths they can adapt. She paused, heart fluttering. Was this really happening? She flipped to a new page and sketched a rough outline of the modules. Try something small. Messy first tries. Leveraging your time 101. She even had an idea for a bonus. What to do when you have kids climbing on you. Cindy snorted to herself. It felt right, honest, possible. She grabbed her laptop and opened Canva to start designing a simple logo. Then she mocked up a basic course slide. Before she knew it, she had a brand palette, a tagline, and a short script for her welcome video. It was like the course had already existed in her brain. She just had to get out of her own way long enough to birth it. Later that evening, after the kids were back and bathed, and her husband was dozing with a baseball game on in the background, Cindy curled up on the couch with Andrea on speakerphone. I started building it, she whispered. The course? Yep. Got half the outline done, a logo, and even the intro video filmed. Andrea whistled low. Well, look at you, Miss CEO. I think I feel like everything I've done the last few months has been leading here. Like the failed organizing business? That taught me to try. The Pinterest stuff? That taught me about leverage. And now I get to share that. Sounds to me like you're packaging wisdom. Cindy grinned. I never thought I'd be someone who created a course. That was for other women. Bigger names. People with more confidence. Andrea's voice softened. You are that woman now? Cindy felt it in her chest. Not a boastful kind of pride, but a grounded one. She had something worth sharing, and she finally understood the value of the messy middle. She opened her Pinterest account and started planning pins to promote her course before it was even done. Build the buzz, Andrea had said. Invite them into the journey. So that's what she did. She posted sneak peeks, shared stories, even confessed in one post that she had no idea what Module 4 would be called yet, but she was building it anyway. And people responded. Messages started rolling in. This is exactly what I need. Thank you for being honest about the hard parts. Let me know when it's ready. I'll be first in line. The idea that she could build something once and serve people over and over again, that she could earn money while helping women like her feel seen, It blew her mind. That night, before shutting down her laptop, Cindy whispered aloud, "Thank you for not letting me quit after the first try." Then she smiled. She wasn't just building a course. She was changing the trajectory of her family. Chapter 9. Course launched, confidence unlocked. Launch day arrived with coffee, nerves, and sticky fingers. Her youngest had spilled syrup on her laptop trackpad while Cindy reheated pancakes. She wiped it down with the corner of her hoodie and laughed because, of course, real life didn't pause for big moments. But this was a big moment. She had done it. The course, Leverage Like a Mom, From Overwhelmed to On Purpose, was live. The videos were uploaded, the landing page published, and the Pinterest pins were circulating. She'd sent an email to her tiny list of followers, posted on Instagram, and shared it in 2 women's business groups. And now? Now she waited. By noon, she had 2 enrollments. By 2:30 p.m., she had 5. By bedtime, she had sold 9. She stared at her Stripe account in disbelief. $567 in one day. From something she made sitting in the corner of the kitchen while the dishwasher ran. Her husband walked in with a basket of folded towels, raising an eyebrow. "That look on your face. Do I need to worry?" Cindy shook her head, eyes wide with emotion. "I launched the course today." "Oh yeah? How'd it go?" She turned the laptop toward him. 9 people bought it already." He set the basket down. "Whoa, seriously?" Cindy nodded slowly, her voice cracking. "We just paid for 2 months of soccer. With something I made." He crossed the room in 2 steps and wrapped her in a hug. "You're incredible." She didn't feel incredible. Not exactly. She felt stunned, grateful, a little scared still. But under all that was something steadier than she'd ever known. Belief in herself, in the process, in the truth that doing things messy and unsure was better than doing nothing at all. Later that night, she checked her email one last time and saw a message from a woman named Talia. "Cindy, thank you for this course. I've been crying through the first module. You're the first person I've heard talk about business in a way that feels possible for me. I didn't know how much I needed this." Cindy closed her laptop and sat in the quiet. This was the moment the podcast host had been talking about months ago. The one that had sparked something in her late one night with a half-clean kitchen and a heart full of worry. You have to stop trading time for money. You have to learn to leverage. Cindy didn't just understand it now. She embodied it. She had created something once that would serve people again and again. She had built leverage. And more than that, she'd built legacy. She looked around at her living room, backpacks by the door, 1 soccer cleat under the couch, a crayon drawing taped to the fridge. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about what that money meant. Stability, flexibility, possibility. She curled up in the corner of the couch, wrapped in her favorite blanket, and let herself breathe it all in. She wasn't chasing some perfect version of life anymore. She was living a version that worked. Chapter 10. It was never about just money. The room smelled like cinnamon rolls and second chances. Cindy stood at the front of the small church multipurpose room, gripping a mug of lukewarm coffee. A handful of moms sat in folding chairs in front of her, some holding babies, some bouncing toddlers on their laps, all of them looking a little like she used to feel. Tired, hopeful, searching. It was her turn to share at MOPS, and she hadn't written a speech. She didn't need to. She looked at Andrea, seated in the back, with a knowing smile and arms crossed like a proud coach on game day. Cindy took a breath. I used to think that in order to make more money, I had to work more hours. That if I wanted anything different for my family, I'd have to sacrifice time I didn't even have. I thought leverage was a word for rich people or gym bros. The room chuckled softly. But then I learned something simple, and it changed everything. She paused, letting it settle. You don't have to know exactly what you're doing. You just have to be willing to try something. She told them about the organizing gigs, the Pinterest rabbit hole, the first client messages, the course. She didn't glamorize it. She told them about the sticky keys, the late nights, the moments of panic when she felt like an imposter. And she told them how one brave question, "What if I just try something?" had cracked open her whole world. When I started this journey, I thought I was chasing income, she said, glancing at the women in front of her. But it turns out I was chasing something deeper, confidence, creativity, a version of myself I hadn't met yet. One mom wiped a tear. Another nodded, holding her baby a little tighter. I'm not here to sell you a dream, Cindy finished. I'm here to tell you that you don't need a perfect plan. You need a next step. The room was quiet for a long beat, and then came the applause. Not thunderous, but heartfelt. Later, Andrea hugged her at the refreshment table. You crushed it. I almost didn't come, Cindy admitted. I didn't think I had anything worth saying. Andrea pulled back and looked her in the eye. You didn't just build a business, Cindy. You built a belief system. And now other women get to borrow it until they believe in themselves too. Cindy felt that land in her chest, heavy and holy. On the drive home, her daughter chattered from the back seat about soccer drills and snack schedules. Cindy nodded, listening with one hand on the wheel and the other holding her warm paper cup from the church. The sky was soft and gold, the mountains faint in the distance. She felt calm in a way she hadn't in years. She thought back to who she was just months ago, afraid to fail, stuck in survival mode, believing there was only one kind of life for people like her. But she had proven something different. She had shown her kids that moms can build things, that you can be scared and still move forward, that trying and failing isn't a reason to quit. It's a reason to try again, better equipped. She had changed their finances, yes. But more than that, she had changed their framework. What her children now believed was possible. What they thought work could look like. How they understood creativity, courage, and contribution. She had opened a door that couldn't be closed. And in doing so, she had shifted not just their budget, but their blueprint. They were growing up in a home where failure wasn't feared, and dreams weren't mocked. Where business wasn't a burden, but a playground, a puzzle, a path to freedom. She smiled to herself, letting that truth settle in. She hadn't just launched a course. She was changing the trajectory of her family, how they work, how they think, and how they live. With courage, with purpose, without fear. And that, she realized, was the most powerful kind of legacy of all.
If this story spoke to you, there's more where that came from. Go ahead and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this journey or the next story that just might be yours in disguise. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.